and then welcome back to another episode of Excisions. Rather, a special episode because, first of all, it's been 6 years from the Hex launch. So, what an amazing 6 years these have been. Um, could have been better, but hey, never too bland or unentertaining. Thanks, whoever is watching. If you can hear me properly, let me know. And yeah, we will. So my plan for this live stream is to watch the entirety of the Richard Hart video that has been published just a few hours ago, and give my special commentary because hey, my actual plan was to watch it live here, but I had to listen to it first to like make good points or rebuttals of things he has said. And oh my God, there are so many things I like don't agree with him. But hey, yes, for those who don't know, there is an sacrifice that is still going on. But the rate today from today, the rates of points allotted will increase, and at this, if you haven't sacrificed already, good for you. And at, after this point, I don't think it would be profitable for anyone to sacrifice. So I've mentioned this earlier on in the stream. Best thing to do is set up a limit order if you are interested in the token, of course. And I showed you how to do it. If you don't know still, then uh, I'll give you a live demo again. But hey, at least I have two viewers. I see Jasol. Thanks, my man. He's drinking some hot lemon water. I'm drinking some plain lemon water. I encourage you guys to grab a drink because this might be a long one. And we have Ahmed. Good to see you. I hope you are not doing overdoing the night shift. You shouldn't be working for more than 2 weeks in the night shift. If you are, you, I think you can report it to the local, what do you call, labor union. No, there is labor department of your government. I don't know whether it will be helpful, but yeah, you should like. Yeah, night shifts are one of the most detrimental things you can do to your body, and especially the graveyard shift. I know from personal experience. So, yeah, I know I have been rambling incoherently, maybe, but please, add, I need a few more viewers before I can get the good stuff. Or maybe I have reached the usual four viewers who watch this stream, including me. So I guess, should we start? I guess we can start, right? Should I make this layout? I don't complain of my mini night shift. I got I got golden hands. That's I know you have golden hands, but you have to preserve those golden hands. Anyways, 20 years working random night shifts. Look, I spent like almost 7 or 10 before I quit. 7 years, I guess. It takes their toll on not only on your body but your psyche as well. Just let me turn on.
Everybody, Richard Hart here. I hope you've noticed at provex.com, there's a Coney project. It uses
Can you
zero
guys
knowledge
hear
proofs.
this,
It does
please?
stuff blockchains can't do. It does stuff off chain and then puts it on chain with a token, burns a token, and all this other cool stuff. It's being given away for free to those that have sacrificed. What are they sacrificing for? Go check it out. I think it's like $8.5 million worth of sacrifices so far. ProveX.info. So
Were you able to hear it? Uh, I hope so. I don't think I can. Yeah. About copyrights, I don't think for me to get copyrighted, Richard has to file a lawful complaint, uh, which will disclose his location. So I don't think he will be doing that. Plus, like uh, I think he has this is when you are doing a commentary, it comes under like, oh, what's that? Free use policy. I don't know the exact terms, but yeah, copyrights don't apply. You can. That's how there are so many reaction channels on Twitch and YouTube, man. Like, yes, this is film business has no time for real time. I don't know. What do you mean? Uh, eh, yeah. Thanks for confirming the sound is good. Uh, yeah, RH doesn't have time to do real time review or do a live stream, and I can guess why. But yeah, first 10 mi 1 minute we just saw 30-second welcome note and repeating what has been written on the Provex sacrifice. And I think like he has been tweeting it non-stop for the past couple of days or weeks up at least. Yeah, reiterating what has been going on. And yeah, apparently there was, I don't, I think last I checked there was around 13 million in the sacrifice uh, that have been sacrificed. I like, and so we don't know where the sacrifices have come from, how much of it is from the sacrifice wallet of the Pulse and PulseX address that uh, used it to tornado cash out onto Ethereum. So we don't know. I think what was that? Crypto Solve that's the kind of investigative uh, handle on X. They did kind of an analysis. I haven't checked it or verified it, but according to that, around like 30% of the sacrifice has come from people selling the other tokens on Pulse and mainly Pulse, PulseX and Hex. So yeah, just money, circular economy, money moving from here to there. Yeah, not really helpful. So to answer RH's first question, I'm not doing well.
ProveX.info is where people are making a political statement by throwing their money away. 8
Throwing our money away, like you said, that's what we can expect. Whether it's a political statement, what kind of political statement requires you to throw away money? Blah, blah, blah.
0.5 mil so far. And then ProveX.com is the free token that's being given away to people that are in the sacrifice set. So what to do? You can go check it out. You can see what other people are using the software for now. So if you look at Bitcoin, Bitcoin was a conglomeration of a bunch of free and open source software. They used a free and open source front end called Qt that only ran on Windows. It was programmed in C++, and then they used open source databases. Everything's open source, right? So we stand on the back of giants. The breakthrough with Bitcoin was handing out tokens to on ramp people for free.
Like this is yes, all technology is technology, yeah, it is built on top of other technology. Like we have assembly language which has a compiler, like C ha itself is built on top of assembly, and then on top of them that there are uh, other programs built. So this is not this is happens with all software, and it, it wasn't just that innovation was giving away free token. Bitcoin's innovation was like giving away free token. That of course that helped to to some extent, but the thing is, all the tech, like how should I put it? Um, like let's say baking a cake. It's basically simple in three flour, water, water, b- uh, and sugar. But just with these three simple ingredients, you can make a variety of things. And of course, you can add other things and make better things from brownies to pancakes, etc. So this is like a moot point, or uh, again, if you have heard or read about tech, NLP, neuro linguistic programming, this is how like get people to first agree with you by making some axiomatic statements, which means like they are as always considered true, truthisms, what you call, and get people to agree with you, like build that momentum. So let's go what he's talking further.
So there was a time when the Bitcoin existed and didn't have a price, but people still participated in the network because they had a belief. They believed in, you know, uh, I don't want to say self custody because it's inaccurate, but holding your own knowledge, your own private keys, which these days are generated by seed words. Back when Bitcoin was invented, there weren't seed words. The generating of keys deterministically from seed words wasn't adopted yet as a BIP, Bitcoin Improvement Proposal. So,
Yeah, okay, okay. Like, I know this will get boring and people don't like my voice as well. I, I had to uninstall some rather, I need to install some software to make my audio more soothing to the ear. But till then, like, what was I saying? Bear with me. Yeah, his thing, like, did like people in Bitcoin just start because they believed in control of their own funds. I I think like the old like we are in it for the technology kind. I think that was more important. Like people just wanted to try out this new thing. Yes, you could basically say, change numbers on a ledger. That is what Bitcoin does essentially. And yeah, it's not like people like holding your own keys or yeah, self custody. He may be afraid to use that term. I'm not. I don't like that. Those things later became part of a different narrative. If you like, there is, we know what at least the founder of Bitcoin, Satoshi, knew or wanted to do, or his vision, because he published a white paper, uh, which Richard refuses to do. Like, but hey, that apart, he wanted to make a peer-to-peer payment system. People wanted to try it out, and he has like Bitcoin. So I think he talks about it later. So I will play more of the video. I, this is going to be a very long stream. Sorry,
Long
guys.
story short, the breakthrough with cryptocurrency and Bitcoin was that you could prove people aren't double spending their coins by having a proof of work, which proves that the coins haven't already been spent. And then you wait so many confirmations until the economic energy of all of the blocks that are stacked up top of the one that you care about is enough for you to believe that it's not going to be rolled back. And right now, with Bitcoin over $1 trillion, it's a lot of economic energy every 10 minutes. It's pretty funny to wait 10 minutes for a block, to tell you the truth. In Pulse Change, for instance, we have blocks every 10 seconds. It's a lot faster.
Yeah, so basically how Bitcoin works, proof of work works, and the thing is, I grew up in the age of 56-bit modems, so I don't really mind waiting 10 minutes for a block confirmation. But it's not actually 10 minutes. 10 minutes for one block to confirm, and you need at least six to uh, get confidence that the block won't be turned back, which takes about an hour. So yeah, for a complete confirmation, you need uh, at least six blocks, or about an hour on Bitcoin. But com compared to Western Union or other money transfer services used for international trade, it's lightning fast. Uh, like if you use bank transfer internationally, it takes around 3 days for settlement. 1 hour was possible. And again, people are more interested in security, as far as I know. So waiting for an hour doesn't. It's nerve-wracking, but people are willing to do it still. And yeah, 10-second blocks on pulse chain we have, we, which is like 5% or 10% faster than Ethereum. Not a real game changer. Okay, let's continue.
Is it 10? Pretty sure it's 10. It depends on how quick people find. It could float a little higher, a little lower, like half a second or so. So the breakthrough in blockchains, particularly Bitcoin, was that you have proof of work, doing timestamping, proving that people aren't double spending their coins, and you on ramp new users because they can mine their own coins for free, at least in the beginning, or they could mine coins out of thin air by enriching electric companies and mining companies. Proof of waste, you could call it later on. And it worked. You know, you've got multiple trillion dollars of valuation. It worked. Now, what are some new crypto primitives that exist that didn't exist then? Well, zero knowledge proofs.
Before I like comment or anything else, like it early days Bitcoin, I think like running a full node was the kind of only option to be transacting or on Bitcoin network. So that was the only way to use Bitcoin. That's why many people started using it. And yeah, early on it was possible to uh, mine Bitcoin on your normal laptop with your CPU, but as people realized that FGPAs were faster than GPUs were faster, then realized that, oh yeah, if we are doing it, it's ASICs are the best, most efficient ways to do it. That lead to the computation wars. I think that was the term used. So now nobody can mine solo, and it's like for a normal individual, it is not possible. That's why we have found other ways of gaining consensus on blockchains, and that's going on. And yeah, he spoke of ZK. That is one of the methods. Yeah, that has ZK has or ZK zero knowledge has been around for I think a couple of decades. It's just that in the last 4 or 5 years, people have figured out to use it efficiently, or and it's not only that, it's also because, yeah, computers have become faster, so we can actually do the computation needed for ZK proving locally at a decent uh, time interval. So yeah, yeah. Sorry, let's continue.
So, for instance, one of the biggest problems with crypto is if you want to de-risk or risk off or whatever, or get into something that's guaranteed to go to zero over time, but does it slowly, the dollar, you need to go through a centralized exchange because there isn't any counterparty risk-free, decentralized on-chain exchanges for Bitcoin that have any volume or have any adoption. The devs actively don't want people building things on top of Bitcoin. They reduce the amount of data that you can put into the chain, and that works well for other chains like Pulse Chain because it makes it easier for people to launch tokens on it with like pump.tires or use the tokens that are already there. It's a full system state fork of Ethereum. So if you had any coins,
Look, before he goes into explaining the uh, advantages of Pulse chain, here's the deal. Exchanges for Bitcoin did exist. Yes, there was minimal adoption, but I never used it, but there were websites where you can like have a meetup and yeah, do Bitcoin exchange for cash locally. But that when prices were low, it was feasible. But once now that the prices are so high, it's a security risk. Otherwise, yeah, you could just write on a forum that, hey, I need let's say $1,000, or like I want to buy 1,000 rupees of uh, Bitcoin worth 1,000 rupees. Set up a local meeting, and somebody would accept that invite, and you could exchange Bitcoin on the spot. But other than that, there were Bitcoin ATMs. They have fallen out of fashion now. Uh, in India, there was a lot of like regulatory pushback to it, and I think there were uh, arrests as well. But there, there have always been options to buy Bitcoin and crypto of chain, uh, or with real cash or a credit card or debit card. It's just centralized exchanges became the most convenient way to do it, and that's why they became popular. And are I think yeah, centralized exchanges are still the most popular way to buy uh, not only Bitcoin, crypto in general. Even though now we have better options and we are slowly seeing more adoption to those options. But yeah, that's the thing. Now let's listen to Richard glazing himself about Pulsion.
On Ethereum or Ethereum itself around 2 years ago, you got free coins on Pulse Chain. So what am I? This is a really long story. This is how it goes when you're speaking from the heart with no script. So long story short, what was the breakthrough with Bitcoin? Giving out tokens for free to on-ramp users, uh, solving the Byzantine generals problem with double spending so people could prove that their coins aren't being double spent. And now, what is this technology, the zero knowledge technology that ProveX is built on? What can it do that Bitcoin can't? Well, it can solve that counterparty risk problem. It allows you to prove things that
See, again, I want to point out the inaccuracy. Like giving away Bitcoin for free wasn't like the most important thing. Yeah, it did give away coins, but people were more interested in the technology. And he brings out the Byzantine generals problem, which is a very old, what you call, theoretical problem in computer science. And Bitcoin adopted one of the methods to solve it, even though it's not completely new. And there are other ways to solve the Byzantine generals problem. I haven't read through them completely. There are if you search for it, you will find other unique ways. But yeah, so the solving the double spend problem was useful. But you know, people always ask me what is actually the double spend problem. I never see it happening on uh, my bank account. Nobody is double spending my. If I make a payment on eBay using credit card or I I don't see that problem. Well, that problem only arises when you have a decentralized database. So when there is no central coordinator to check if there is a double spend. So basically, Satoshi invented a problem and then solved it, or rather implemented one of the solutions to solve it. So that's how things are. Hey, I know people are leaving the live stream, but I will continue till I can.
blockchains can't prove. So many years ago, I won't say many, but a few years ago, people developed technology which allowed you to issue cryptographically secure proofs from secure certificates that you see every day with email or you see every day with websites. So when you receive an email or when you go to a website, that little lock, that little SSL lock, you can do things with it that people aren't aware of. And that's really the breakthrough here. You can issue statements of proof from those certificates regarding what is in the statement. So if you go to a web page and it has an SSL certificate on it, you can prove that that server said that thing. And if you put it on the blockchain at that time, or at least no later than that time, and so you could solve a lot of other trust. So blockchains solve double spending trust and time stamping trust and when things happen trust, but they can't solve for you without this other technology that runs alongside them and makes them more powerful and can do things they can't do.
Yeah, SSL, good. By the way, it reminded me, eh, just, I think it was in 2019, SSL has been one of the, or the HTTPS has been one of the biggest open source project. And in 2018-19, there was a huge bug found in the protocol, and I think it didn't get if I yeah it didn't get exploited, but yeah, like, security is a illusion, but yeah, it still works for most people, and that's why we are able to do a lot of things on the internet, even though the government is trying to prevent us from doing a lot of things, but we still are. So yeah, what else? Yeah, most technologies do, like, are kind of synergistic to each other, mainly because there is no if it if those technologies don't synergize, they cannot exist. So it's not something like extraordinary. Extraordinary.
So if someone, let's say you wanted to trade crypto without a disgusting middleman in the middle, say an exchange, the guys that get hacked, de-anonymize you, ruin your privacy, ruin your security, lose your coins, ask you a bunch of weird questions. It's the least enjoyable part of cryptocurrency. It doesn't need to be that way. You can trade directly with someone else. So the problem with trading with someone else is you have this issue of trust where, well, they say they sent the money. Did they send the money? They said this. They said they sent the. How can you prove they sent the money before you send your coins? Well, ProveX. ProveX allows them to sign a statement.
Look, yeah, exchanges are bad. We have so many like what exchanges being hacked and going down, like, you losing uh, not only data, users' data, but their crypto as well. But still, there is kind of a oversight committee that looks into it. Like, B- Mount Gox hack is the best example, even though it's kind of sad that the funds were recovered mostly, but the government is still actively trying, or the not just the US government, but the trustees that have been uh, appointed for redistributing the funds that were recovered still aren't doing it. Uh, Even with FTX, same thing. Like, a lot of the funds that were lost were recovered, but yeah, they don't want to distribute it. Like, Western governments steal people's money. That is not something new. But here's the deal with trust. You There is no such thing as trustless. You still have to, and this is, I think, one of the points in one of Richard's old videos, that there cannot be anything that is trustless. It's just trust reduced. Like, yeah, you can. How should I put it? Y- yeah, you can just be trading with your neighbor. Eh, No, that's a very bad example. But Let me think about it a little while we continue with the videos. This is going to be a very long one. We are just 7 minutes into the video.
From an extension in their browser. You can do it other ways too, but this one's one way you can do it. That proves that they sent the money. And so, if two people perform a trade, and it's not just restricted to cryptocurrency exchanging, or is that even the right word? Basically, anytime someone wants to prove that they did something, as long as you trust the server that's issuing the proof. So let's say if someone said they PayPal'd you something, you could pull proof from the email they got from PayPal's email server or from PayPal's website itself. You could issue a cryptographically secure proof from either of those two things that showed that indeed this was paid. And because of the zero knowledge property, you don't have to declare any extra information. You don't have to show a screenshot, which could be faked, by the way, which is what's so interesting about this. So blockchain solved double spending, ProveX zero knowledge tech. And
Well, you can that way, if you think about it, you can just confirm somebody PayPal you the money by checking your PayPal account whether the money has been received. This is kind of funny. Yeah, on the and as far the blockchain or whether the person has sent you the tokens, you can get uh, you can see the block explorer whether the transaction has been uh, pushed through or whether it's in the mempool or anything. But even that, like, yeah, the thing is coordination. They have to occur at the same time. That requires a different thing. That can be solved by escrow, but you have to kind of again trust the person who will be doing the escrow. Yeah, ProveX kind of solves that problem. There, I think I made a mistake of understanding the protocol earlier. It's not my assumption was there will be some kind of escrow, but from what I understood from the video is there isn't actually an escrow. It's just that the two transactions have to occur at the same time or within a given span of time for the complete transaction to go through. That is, the seller has to send their crypto, the buyer has to send the proof that is his payment has been made, and then only if both the sides of the transactions are complete, then the transaction is complete, otherwise it fails. Sorry.
I prefer to brand it just ProveX because I'm not here to advertise zero knowledge tech. Just like Satoshi didn't advertise the database he was building on, and Satoshi didn't advertise the Qt GUI graphical user interface software he used. He didn't advertise the cryptographic primitives that preceded his work. He wasn't out there advertising SEC P256K1 as a curve, right? He made a brand and he promoted the brand, and the underlying tech that was underneath it, he didn't spend any time promoting that. And ProveX, I think, is kind of the same thing. The open software works. The open source software works. It's in production. People are using it today. You could go try it yourself. A version of it that doesn't have a token, doesn't have any token burning, and doesn't really have any users, barely. You can go to ZK or zkp2p.xyz. Bad brand, bad URL, but it's the same situation. It's an underlying cryptographic primitive that has some users, but is missing the parts that would make something grab, make something bite. People like tokens because it gives them something to talk about that in some cases there's an advantage for them talking about. So
So this is again Okay, you came up with a brand name. Oh, what a genius! First of all, Miss Provex is, I don't know how to put it on a scale. Well, it's better than Mr. Approve. That was the original token name, which not only sounded like a meme coin, but also like I commented on his post like it sounds a lot like the drain cleaner or floor cleaner called Mr. Muscle. So it, only after that he did a poll of what should we name him. So he didn't come up with the name Provex, and yeah, the community came up with the name. So he's taking credit for somebody else's work. Not that he does that less often, but that's the thing. Uh, and like who, which like there is kind of a trade-off. You could have been promoting the technology that has been underlying it, and some like for example, there is ZK Sync, and there is which was the other protocol. There is StarkNet, which uses Stark proofs. There is which other? There is another chain that uses ZK that has ZK in its name. But the point being is, yeah, you can choose to let people know that you are using a specific technology, which is sometimes good for the brand. But usually, people, I think in one of his old videos, he talks about brand names or company names don't actually have to mean what they do. Amazon doesn't use the has nothing to do with the Amazon River. Apple does not sell gross fruits. Yeah, there is kind of a trade-off. Whether Provex is a catchy name, it's sounds a lot like PulseX. The uh, it's um, people to talk about it. What are you even going to talk about? Provex? Are you going to talk about mathematics? You know, if you split the name differently, it becomes pro-vex. And if you know what vex mean, it means to irritate. So it's pro-vexing. Yeah, it's going to be very. I found some of like I find this very irritating. It is vexing. So maybe, and I am talking about it. So yeah, good thing. Where the other thing? Then he brings up the real meat or of the issue, or what I find personally very disgusting. Like he talks about using ZKP2P. I I don't want to bring up the website right now. It kind of takes a lot of bandwidth, but yeah, I've shown that website multiple times, and uh, it's as far as I know, it is some community member. That means somebody who had sacrificed for Pulse Chain that is involved in developing that website, and they have it is one of the very few websites that is supportive of Pulse Chain, and Richard is shitting on them uh, not only like bad mouthing them, they have a few. I don't think they have. It's like a there is a like on ZKP2P website there is a like a data analytics uh, page, and it's not a handful of users. It is like maybe even more than Pulse Chain itself. That so or Hex itself, like it does have a good user base. Uh, you could have been promoting it, but hey, it doesn't have a token of its own. Like the founders of that website chose not to do it. Why? Because hey, they are already kind of making money through the transaction fees, and I think they also have APIs or ways to connect to their website directly, which other people can use for their dApps or apps, or maybe what do you call it? Trading or running bots for trading. So they are making money. So they chose not to launch their own token. Good, very good for them. Maybe it was their mistake that they weren't as greedy. So what Richard is doing basically is using their technology uh, and slapping on a token to it, which I've like. Yeah, yeah. Look. I have been a Richard Hart maximalist since 2018, but at some point you have to take a stand. Like something is wrong. Don't don't drink the Kool-Aid when there is a legitimate criticization that is needed. People should speak out against it, right? So I am doing it. I don't know how many people will agree with me, but hey, if you are listening and you disagree with some of any point I make or have a contra argument, let me know.
For instance, would I have a YouTube channel if I didn't have any Bitcoin? Probably not, right? So when you are part of a network, when you're part of a movement, um, you're much more excited to talk about it if you get more vibe, more rewards, more enjoyment, more community, all the things people care about. Some people gains if there's a price for a thing. You know, Bitcoin was around since before it had a price. The technology that Provex is built on has been around, and it doesn't have a price. So it's cool. It's very cool. It's one of the few things in crypto that is new and innovative and doesn't have 1,000 competitors. With layer twos, a million competitors, and the charts of all of them look like trash. With layer ones, a million competitors, and the charts of the vast majority of them look like trash. It's very competitive. So people kind of have this backwards understanding where they want to buy when the price is higher because it shows product market fit. It has the fear of missing out, and people aren't as interested to buy when the price is lower. And it's the same when you launch a new and innovative 0 to 1 instead of 1 to 2 kind of thing.
Hey, oh, I have a new listener. The cyberpunks weren't so punk after all. It's all bullshit. Yeah, and the thing is, peop cyberpunks do exist, but they have to be in hiding because when it's all fun and games in the cyberspace, but when it comes to physical space, you are at risk. Uh, and we have seen this. We like Satoshi disappeared. The founder of DAI protocol, DAI. what was that maker? You know what happened to him, and yeah, so you can only be punk so far. And in general, all these kind of activist activism and what you call anti-government and whatever things. Look, unless you are ready to block roads to the weapon production factories, uh, you aren't you shouldn't even call yourself punks. But that's it, again thing. Now getting back to the points Richard was making, like yeah, that is kind of this is sad truth. Like people buy stuff when people think price is going up. That is like human psychology. Nobody knows when the price will start going down. So big deal. And I think like he takes that question later. Like who who bought the Ethereum top in 2022? 2022 or 21, Ethereum for 3,800. Uh, People buying tops is nobody is immune to it. Nobody knows. And regarding competition, y- yeah, new protocols like launching something new, uh, which is difficult to replicate and free from competition in the current what you call digital space is almost impossible. That's why we see so many AI startups, so many what you call green technology startups. It's not like something new. Even and you know, oh, what's that? Mimicry is the best form of flattery. That's what the idiom is, right? So if nobody is even trying to copy you, maybe your idea is not that great. Uh, as far as ZKP2P, one of the good things they have done is, yeah, they have kind of, it isn't completely open source, but you can license their software. So why build a second website or a complete new technology stack when you can just use their stack? And so I do again full nothing new. Yeah, full of contradictions. Just let's continue what he's saying.
It didn't exist, now it exists. This type of technology, it doesn't have, you can't point at like Ethereum and go, look, there's the competitor, and look at our addressable market, our addressable market share or whatever. I can't remember the fancy word VCs use for it, but it's like how much market could you capture? And anyone that's experienced in VC will tell you it's a very dumb way to think about things, but that's the way a lot of people think about it. Like, how big is the thing you're attacking? Well, it's kind of better to do the thing that no one else is doing because then you have more pricing power. So, like, if you go on provex.com, they're talking about a 2% buy and burn, 1% on each side. That kind of pricing power is awesome. I mean, you don't, it's very good pricing power. And in other places, like,
Yeah, but you also have to think that about who- if it is that simple, why is nobody else doing it? Maybe they have figured out that it's not that profitable or sustainable. That's something to consider. And what was he talking? Say, that 2% uh, purchasing power, are users actually going to be willing to pay an extra 2%? Is it really that good? When you can literally swap crypto on the ZKP2P side, even they to take a cut. I think it's 0.3%. So why pay like 1% when you can be spending 0.3%? So I don't think there is that much of purchase power, as he says. Uh, we'll find out whether the transactions will actually be cheaper. And yeah, so so many bad reviews.
like Ethereum that is now rolling out a new upgrade called Fusaka. It's going to increase the amount of data that people can store by sparsely sampling it. And you're like, well, is that going to add economic value to the chain?
Look, Fusaka is a very complicated upgrade. Like I discussed some of the things that are being done on the earlier things, but it's not just that like layer twos will be like we can add more data to the blockchain, whether it would be uh, good. Well, they are doing it because currently there are some bottlenecks to adoption of blockchains, especially layer twos as well as layer one. So that has been thought out and discussed by multiple people with various worldviews, uh, and it's only after that that this upgrade is taking place. So I think Richard dismissing it is kind of petty. And not only that, like whether it will bring economic value, well, I think it will. Uh, whether di it won't be as direct as people think, and it may take a few months for us to see the actual changes, but definitely there is going to be.
I mean, what's the number one market cap cryptocurrency? Well, it's Bitcoin. And do they ever increase the throughput? Almost never. Almost never. And are the fees cheap? Usually not. And is the price the highest? Yep. It's simple supply and demand. If you keep increasing the supply of block space, it literally becomes too cheap to tell you.
Look, again, this is they didn't like Bitcoin did increase their block space in the past uh, couple of years, especially n- not directly. One was what Segwit, which like took away some proof that had to go into the blocks are added separately, so we could get like more transactions in the block and less what do you call it, ancillary data. Also, now they have increased that as well. So now we have what called is- what's the I forgot exactly the technology, something Taproot something something, but because of that, there are NFTs on Bitcoin directly. You can build dApps, but nobody is willing to do that. Also, they do have a layer 2 on Bitcoin, which you can use and do transactions very cheaply. But the thing is, nobody uses Bitcoin directly. Most of its quote unquote volume from trading is off chain on exchanges using what you call leverage. And yeah, the CME has it, and we have ETFs. People are buying and selling those, and that's why its price is so high, because literal governments are buying it. Not to talk about hedge funds and big institutions. That's the main reason. Like block space and transaction throughput, nobody really cares about it when it comes to price. Like it's yeah. So another bad take from Richard, and uh, there maybe this point is, I have other things to say, but maybe some of it would be more important with to rebut later points. Let's go.
Tell you the truth. Now, in theory, there's infinite demand for free space, but in reality, we haven't really seen the nearly free space get infinitely demanded on a lot of ghost chains where there's nothing going on. So, you know, I think it would be nicer for people to pay to use the Ethereum blockchain, because otherwise, how do you get the value to go from the things using the chain to the actual native token of the chain? I think people like, I remember when ICOs used to launch on Ethereum and there'd be 1,000 Gwei to get a transaction in, and it gave people a reason to buy, you know? So, yeah, long story short, no matter what industry you're in, you can underprice things. There is a price at which you're doing bad for yourself and the industry and the customers. You want to be able to afford R&D? It helps to have a price. You want to be able to buy ads to compete with other things? It helps to have a price, to not be free, which is why in capitalism you see almost no free.
Uh, i- is it true? In capitalism, I see a lot of free stuff, free these cashback points, etc. It's all a part to get people to lock into their system. That's what increase. Look, this like artificial scarcity does nobody any good. Yeah, Ethereum could half their block size and increase the fees to uh, sky high levels. Uh, that would be helpful for Ethereum price, and that would kind of multiply the effect. Like Ethereum gets more expensive, as well as the block chain transactions in terms of Ethereum get expensive. So quadruple the effect. But that will also mean people will just stop using the chain directly, which is supposed to be the goal, like get people to be transacting on chain. And the reason why they are increasing the block space is because there is demand for it. And if th- the block space becomes too expensive, then people will just quit using it. That's what his thesis for making Pulse Chain was, right? Because transact or staking, unstaking hex on Ethereum became too expensive, so we needed a cheaper chain. So we got Pulse Chain. How has it affected hex as well as the Pulse price? Oh, not very positive so far. So i- it's again a trade-off of uh, whether you want purely price improvement or you want global adoption. And so we have like it is the current like what do you call Silicon Valley playbook that Yeah, people are given free stuff to get, just like Uber did. They undercut everybody. All the competition went uh, out of, like, pushed out of market. Now they have monopoly pricing. So that maybe that's the long-term play for Ethereum. And competition on layer twos is, mm, yeah, there are so many layer twos launching. It keeps prices, transaction prices down. It's a good thing for general users. For investors, it may not be, but like if you are a, isn't that like capitalism 101, like competition, fair competition? So I don't agree with him.
because those things die or never, crib death, they never make it, you name it. So, long story short, it is very fun and very nice that there is a new cryptographic primitive that doesn't have a token that I'm aware of, except for this new free one being given away, provex.com. Good domain name, good logo. And you can go use the tech. You can go to ZK P2P.
Again, 10 points to Richard for self-glazing. Like, oh, great domain name that the community came up with. Yeah, there is already a tech that doesn't have a token attached to it, so I'm going to attach a token to it. And are those tokens really free if they are given in return for a sacrifice? Uh, you know, just another different name for an ICO. It's like,
.xyz and try it out. But that I don't like a I don't like a lot of the things that they did. I think that they could be much better. So someone should make them better. What a good idea, you know? It's just like Satoshi saw open end free GUI software and a open source database. And then he's like, oh, there's a proof of work thing that they use for email where they just, use CPU cycles to prove that you're not a spammer, that you're a real person. So it introduces a cost. And you're like, yeah, you can combine those things into a nice blockchain. He combined open source software, and then he had to choose like a couple parameters. He chose the 10-minute block time. He chose the 4-year halvening. You know, I wouldn't have chosen a 4-year halvening. I would have had it reduced much more quickly. This like, boom, every 4 years.
well, the 4 years, like what Satoshi chose as parameters have clearly, in his own words, have clearly worked for price. So I don't know why he's complaining. And it's there in the white paper, like 10, that 10-minute is for block propagation. That means so that there the entire all the nodes on the network are able to see the block before uh, coming up with the new one. Yeah, we live on like we still have a barrier for people, like the data to be propagated from one point on Earth to the opposite point on the Earth. Uh, so we have to compensate for that. And the Fourier cycle was chosen to mimic that of gold itself, like till I think even I think it is true even today. Like every 4 years, the amount of gold that is discovered and that can be mined or is mined reduces by half. There is like the, control on how much gold is extracted. not only gold, even in case of oil, they have control levers as to how much of it gets onto the market. So uh, there is a lot of thought put into it. What Richard Hart thinks about it is kind of
For yours
irrelevant.
thing, it seems stupid. Um, it should be more incremental, in my opinion. So, long story short, I'm excited. It's one another thing that's like
Uh, I think he has said, long story short, for the fourth time, and before going on long tangents. But that's just funny, man. Like,
like what do blockchains do that you care about that are important? Censorship resistance, on-chain exchange to remove counterparty risk. Um, Mad gains is nice. You can have it. You know, that's another thing people don't understand. If people have finite economic energy, more tokens equals lower prices across everything. It's really that simple. It's supply and demand. And the only way that you get around that is if the tokens are reflexive and are holding their liquidity in themselves. So, like the majority of PulseX liquidity is in Pulse, and then the majority of Pulse's liquidity is in stables, and then maybe half in.
account, you know, it's a separate topic, and I can explaining it becomes a bit difficult. But that whole price and demand and supply curve in general economics is kind of flawed in itself. We know because there are exceptions to it. There are two major one called as Griffin goods and Veblen goods. Griffin goods are basically luxury products where even though the price increases, or rather, when price increases, the demand also increases. Uh, uh, so again, these are, I mentioned earlier, if you search for NLP techniques, like he's using a lot of crypto jargon now to kind of have a, what do you call it, connection with his viewers, which is mostly crypto enthusiasts. So a layperson may not completely understand what he's saying. Reflexivity, liquidity, it's I hate that term liquidity. There is no such thing as liquidity. There are only buy and sell orders. Yeah, when the only way you can buy a token is using another token, then their prices are going to be in sync with each other. So uh, what he's talking about is gabalgush, but we have to listen to it. I may try to decipher all of it, but let's see.
Wrapped Ethereum from the Ethereum chain. So if Ethereum goes up, it floats the price of Hex, Pulse Chain, Pulse X because they're all tied together. If one goes up, they all go up. If one goes down, they all go down. And those ratios can shift as people add and remove liquidity and at what prices they do it and all these different things. But, you know, long story short, it's nice to have something that doesn't have as many competitors because it's a new industry, a new paradigm.
Uh, just again to explain, like, yeah, those things do happen, but only to a small uh, like extent. We saw, we can see the charts when you compare with Hex Ethereum or Pulse Ethereum. Not always did when the price of like the price of Ethereum going up has not always been positive for Pulse X, but the simple thing, oh, price goes up when people buy that specific token. Uh, if the liquidity is locked, yes, temporarily the price may go up, but people also sell the price down to get the other asset which is more expensive. It's basic arbitrage, so not completely accurate information.
And it can't just solve proving statements about whether you sent a wire transfer this, that, or the other, or whether you have this many Twitter followers, or whether you really matched with this girl on Tinder, or there's a lot of different things that you could prove if you wanted to, and no one's monetizing that. So it's an opportunity. Now it's a battle to
Do we really need to monetize everything again? I know if I say that I sound like a communist or a socialist, but yeah, like, do you want really to make everything transactional? Like, people generally do things because they are worth doing, or what's the term? Like people do not brownie points, but yeah, I see people generally tend to do things to gain goodwill, like in the community. Like, is it like, hey, if you are walking through a door, there is somebody behind you. Do you, by nature, hold the door open, uh, or at least not bang the door on his face, or do you say like, hey, I'm not getting paid for it, I'm not going to do it? Not everything needs to be monetized, and not everything needs to be like on the blockchain. So that's a deeper issue. But I know, again, at the risk of sounding communist, this is what rentier capitalism is going, like rent-seeking behavior. He's a self-proclaimed capitalist, and by that token, he is also a rent seeker. So I don't. Oh, we are just one third way into the live stream. Uh, it's okay. I will continue and complete the
get
thesis.
people to do things new, like just show them the new way. But we've proven that this community is good at showing people new ways of doing things, which is why there's hundreds of
Like every time he brings up community, I feel a pain in my stomach. Like, yeah, the community has been very good at showing people to do a lot of stupid stuff, uh, and we can see mainly if, oh, I was going, maybe I'll do it later. Read all the comments on this video. Some of them are very funny, and we already know how the community has been acting for the past couple of years. So, for outsiders, he may seem telling the truth, but not not really.
thousands of users using new things. You know, I made Uniswap popular. Hex was the majority of liquidity and trading on that system for a few months in the beginning. I make a lot of things popular. Not your
Well, yes, that is definitely true. That, yeah, Uniswap only became popular after Hex, because we did provide a huge amount of liquidity to Uniswap. But Uniswap continued its popularity even after, like, Hex got shadow banned, not banned on Uniswap, and they are doing a lot of other stuff. I don't approve of what Uniswap is doing, but still. And he has been bad mouthing Uniswap for a long time, even after uh, very it, like hexicons were the biggest uh, share of Uniswap airdrop receivers, and a lot of people, including me, sold their Uni tokens to buy Hex and other RH tokens, and which caused the Uniswap token price to drop. So why wouldn't the developers on Uniswap be kind of vengeful against Hex and Hexicans? Like it's tit for tat, I guess. So yeah, we made Uniswap popular, but it became like well, it's not like he, Vitalik himself was promoting Uniswap, and let's get back to the video.
Keys, not your coins. Downloading front ends so that you can't be attacked through what they call a infrastructure attack, but really it's just you're pulling dependencies in from other places you don't control, and then when they turn their code to be evil, like there's just another npm exploit a few days ago.
I I think I covered it, the npm exploit, but yeah, downloading uh, UIs or front ends to, or what you call it, client software onto your uh, computer does mitigate some risk, but it also has a risk of your client being incompatible with the latest update of the server. So that's a different risk. So not really useful. And his Yeah, he did make like I fully respect him for that. He showed at a lot of people a lot of new stuff, taught a lot of new stuff, a lot of things I know about blockchain I came to know about through him. So I am grateful for that. But he also promotes a lot of shitty things. Like you can't ignore that.
The son of Shah Halud, I believe it was called. And then before that, there was a Shah Halud infrastructure attack. But basically, if you care about secure software, you shouldn't be downloading dependencies. Dependency is just a fancy word for software you did.
Again, the world does not work that way. Yeah, like very rarely are there any software that are free from dependencies. So like you can this can be mitigated to some extent, but you can't be free of it.
Didn't build, but you need, right? Like Satoshi didn't build a database software. He pulled an off the shelf one. Ethereum didn't build a database software. They pulled an off the shelf one. And because they use multiple consensus clients, I think they've got multiple databases they use as well. So like Geth changed from level DB to RocksDB, and then it cut their RAM usage in half just by changing their database. It's pretty funny. People don't realize what goes into these things. They don't realize how the sausage is made. You kind of have to be pretty smart to know all the parts of the stack and know when abstractions are leaking. And it's funny, a lot of people produce insecure software. So the guys at Anthropic pushed or used this fuzzing software called Slither. Actually, I'm not exactly sure if it's a fuzzing software because I haven't used it in so long. I haven't used it in like 6 years, 5 or 6 years since I've used it. But it's a security analysis software that looks for bugs in smart contracts. And so the Anthropic guys, uh, Claude 4.5 AI came out, and then they ran a bunch of smart contracts through it, and they found 4.58 or something $1 million of exploits. And so I have this feeling that every time there's a new update with AI releases, that they're going to run all the blockchain code and see where the vulnerabilities are, and that's kind of going to be a race between the white hats and the black hats. Funny.
Look, this has been a problem since like software has been written. Like there is a specific term for it, zero-day exploit. Like yeah, first time people are made aware of there is a bug. Like I mentioned previously, there was a bug in the SSL software HTTPS protocol. Nobody was aware of it, but yeah, it's again white hat, basically hackers who don't have nefarious uh, intentions versus black hats who are trying to exploit people. That basic cops and robbers, that thing is going to continue till eternity. Um, yeah, with uh, Anthropic's release, we covered this. Like there was this kind of a user who vibe coded a software and took down Cardano's blockchain for a few hours at least. Um, yeah, with AI, there are going to be these attacks. Again, fuzzing software is basically like it's what you call tests out random scenarios and edge cases to see if there are any bugs. We well, Anthropic did put out the report. Not all of the bugs have been verified. So whether the what billion $4.8 million of exploits were actually there is has not been confirmed. And it's not that AI companies have been lying about their capabilities. So take it with a pinch of salt. Uh, Again, it's a security risk everybody has to assume uh, and move on with their life.
Funny stuff. That's why it's great to work in this ecosystem or be a fan of this ecosystem, because we just do everything better. It's
Well, do we aren't we going to address the pink elephant in the room, the PDI, one of the biggest hacks on Pulse chain? Not only that, there were other protocols that were hacked by different means. Liquid loans. I have I stopped even talking about it, and I criticized it even before it launched that it's a fork of liquidity which had a bug where Oracle prices were wrong and people got liquidated. Don't use it, but people promoted it, uh, and the same thing happened on Pulse chain as well. The PDI debacle, yeah, it's still not fixed. People are still able to uh, exploit the PDI protocol and mint uh, PDI, even though there are speculation as who there was just one exploiter who called himself Pdong. There are speculations that it is Richard Hart himself who was doing that. Cannot be verified or approved. So Hex Pulse chain operating flawlessly. well, depends on what you wanted it to work for. And by the way, Pulse X had the biggest bug. It does not Pulse X V1 did not pay out uh, trading fees to the LPs. So not as flawless as he claims. Again, uh,
Now, of
continue.
course,
Let's
we get no
continue.
credit for it because everyone's a scumbag that only talks their own book. They only care about the tokens they bought. The token they bought is a world changing thing, and anything that's a token that they didn't buy is a piece of trash scam.
Again, that applies to Richard himself, but he talks shit about his own tokens as well, particularly EHEX. It's hold a mirror.
That's how it goes in crypto. So if you thought Apple versus Android and Ford versus Chevy were spicy, you should see coin you bought versus coin you didn't buy spiciness. It's very funny. I think my camera's heating up here. Hold on a second. Let me turn on the fan. Hopefully that makes the camera happy. Sorry if it makes a little.
Like there is. I wanted to say this as well. Like, is it like he is using the one of the best cameras available on market, and his video is basically staring at his face, up his nostril. Like, do a better setup. And by the way, wasn't he doing like a weight loss regimen or something? Like, at least show us your body, whether your exercises work for you. Cringe. And to think about it, he had a he spent considerable time with one of the so self-proclaimed best documentary makers. He should have learned a few things about at least camera setup, etc. Like what? And by the way, how many people are going to watch this video on 4K? Like at least even there is this. They already put out this study like 4K isn't really that distinguishable from normal HD if you are viewing it from a distance. Forget the difference between 8K and 4K. So, like, yeah, there is really no actual benefit to it. Why is he even doing that? Fuck, man. This is going to be a long stream.
Buzz. You know, when you're shooting in 8K, not that you'll see the 8K, but I've got it. It really heats up the camera. Yeah, it's funny if you pull back my YouTube videos from like 2017, about 8 years ago. The quality's amazing. Why? Because I do everything better. It's better mic, better camera, better lens, better everything. You know, almost everything.
Again, no, he knows nobody's watching on 8K and I or even 4K. Quality wise, like, do you know, like, yeah, we have software that improves video quality built in. So it doesn't really matter that much. You are uploading on at 8 4K. And how many people are even watching those uh, whatever 7 8 year old videos? Anyways, uh, again, full marks for self glazing. Yeah, doing everything better. Doubt.
Yeah. So provex.com. Now, people wonder why don't people in Pulse Chain and Pulse X and Hex get any advantage over normal people in the Prove X sacrifice? Well, who knows? But I can make some guesses.
Well, didn't he have any say in why or how the sacrifice was done? Uh, So how come he doesn't know? Again, he's he's using kind of what do you call- not only NLP but what you call legally sanctified language. Let's hear about his reason for why he is doing that, and I'll give my speculation about why he's doing it.
If you were to, let's say you were to run up the price of something 1,000,000% and then convert it into something else and be like, you know what? That something else has to also go up another 1,000,000%, can never dip, or I'm going to be mad at you. It's a pretty hard thing to handle. So what if instead, if when people sacrificed, there was less sacrificers, which means less potential cell energy, or what if it did, what if you had sacrificed before the 1,000,000%? So if you sacrificed a thing before it ran up 1,000,000%, you'd have 1,000,000% less kind of cell pressure later, so to speak. So I mean the theory, and it's just a theory. No one really knows these things. No one really knows where the price is going to go. No one really knows psychology. You're making a lot of guesses. The theory is if people sacrifice things at lower numbers, it's much easier for them to be happy because it's much easier for it to go up because there's less cell pressure. So, like, part of the reason Hex went up 1,000,000%, in my opinion, is because there's less cell pressure because people were locking it up for years. And so, in other systems where people don't have a locking mechanic to reduce cell pressure, you've got finite options available to reduce cell pressure. Less people could hear about it. So, for instance, maybe it wouldn't be on other sites. So, I looked around on pulsechain.com, pulsex.com, hex.com. I didn't see any mention of ProveX. Interesting. And stupid, probably. It would be cool if that was on there, in my opinion. But it probably leads to less sacrifice and probably leads to less potential cell pressure if the token ever has a price. Now, I've seen similar launch mechanics for free and open source things with Hex and Pulse Chain and PulseX and Ink, and they all ended up with a price.
The whole thing is as backwards. Like, why, like, why wouldn't anybody like want 1,000,000% uh, more after having seen 1,000,000% green? Which, by the way, like we already saw that with uh, uh, not only Pulse, but mainly with Pulse X. People were willing to sacrifice the token that has gone 1,000,000% to buy another token because they were expecting, or at least I was, that they are kind of locking in that profit of 1,000,000%, and now they can uh, hope to for a new coin to go up another 1,000,000%. But how is that sell pressure? And I- number of participant does not really change how much sell pressure is going to be there. And like the major sell pressure on Pulse X has been just a couple, not couple, but handful, I would say, whales that have been dumping. So, and which were given uh, a special advantage during the sacrifice phase. So yeah, I haven't been happy about this sacrifice phase, nor and by the why did Hex price go up so high? Well, it was just a couple of whales that bought in and popped the price while the what you call it, market, not mar liquidity was low. Mm, That's why they were able to push the price higher, and people were expecting mad gains from or the people who had Hex thought it the best way to sacrifice for Pulse was via Hex. So basically, they would get more bang for the buck if they sacrificed Hex by buying Hex and pushing the price of Hex higher and then sacrificing it instead of sending DAI or ETH or USDC directly. That's why Pulse or Hex price went up so high. Well, and the now the well, that million% profit has been completely been wiped off. Most Pulse X down greater than 95%. So what advantage is he talking about? Uh, at least if his logic was to avoid people with large bags of uh, hex and hex pulse x to gain an advantage, or then that makes sense. But why would he do that? I have a theory about it. I will talk about it a bit later. But let's continue.
And they all did multiples. Did Pulse X do a multiple? I don't think Pulse X did a multiple, but Pulse Chain did. Pulse X might have day one. I have to go look at the chart.
No, none of them did a multiple. Eh, uh, m- Pulse X prices have been down more than up. Maybe, yeah, if you consider from the extreme bottom, Pulse did maybe a 4x or something, but that was short-lived before the whales started dumping. So,
Um, so I think fair is fair. I think more liquid things have more value than less liquid things. And I think that if people sacrifice things for cheaper than for higher, then whoever or whatever the future market looks like, it should have less sell pressure in it. Because
we will see how the future market looks like in the future. We definitely going there is going to be definitely sell pressure. Uh, I talked about it earlier. Yeah, we know the major participants of the propulsion sacrifice, not the best people that I know of. So let's go.
there's less economic energy to start with. I think a lot of the reasons, it's funny if you look at the coins that have launched recently, the charts have been terrible. They go up day one, they go down, and they go death forever. And I've seen this across every celebrity coin, every politician coin.
Yeah, this has been the same with Pulse X as well. Uh, and his other meme coins as well. So I don't know what has he lost self-awareness.
Um, it's wild. Part of I believe part of a price chart shape is based on the number of people that will hear about a thing compared to the number of people that heard about it day one. And so if you front load all your energy onto day one, you're going to get one of those dumb looking charts that's just big spike day one and then people, just dies forever. I've seen it over and over and over and over and over again. I prefer to have a chart that doesn't look like that. So reflexivity, pulse chain, faster, cheaper, Ethereum.
Look, the, yeah, like it is again partly true how the price people who have heard about it versus people who have already got into it day one. Uh, that is a weird metric. Basically, people, the price chart depends on people who are willing to buy with fresh capital coming from somewhere else. Uh, so if as long as more people, this is again what is known as like the greater fuel theory. I don't agree with it completely, because it's applicable to everything. But yeah, more adopt as long as more people are willing to buy, then people are willing to sell. Price is going to go up. Uh, it doesn't matter how much initial economic energy. I don't know what his exact definition of it is. It doesn't depend on how many people are involved initially. It's just simple. More people buy, price goes up. And if people aren't willing to pay the price that sellers are, then you have to sell lower. Price goes down. Blah blah.
Same code. Check it out. Just some changes to make it faster and make it cheaper. So it has lower inflation by 25%. It has faster block times, 10 seconds instead of 12 seconds.
Again, I think earlier in the stream itself, he was talking about how price and technology is not directly correlated. Uh, yes, we got a slightly better fork of Ethereum, but is it really now, after 3 years, it is lagging behind uh, Ethereum in terms of updates? And you can see the price chart, not really good. So,
Hex, time locking with very low inflation, not as low as Bitcoin's, not as low as Pulse Chains, definitely not as low as Pulse X, which only burns, can never mint. And I believe Prove X is the same. It can only burn, never mint. If you want to see a cool looking chart, I hate mentioning a website
yeah, I mean, same metrics as PulseX, more so, but look at the PulseX chart. Amazing looking chart, especially if you do like instead of using the log function on charts. Maybe I will do a chart review later, but no, 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 no. I don't want Prove X chart to be looking like PulseX. Ah,
that, well, you don't want to show someone a website that has 1,000,000,000 other coins on it that can scam people. You prefer people not get scammed. But if you do know where to look up the chart of, say, Pulse X versus Pulse,
yeah, he's talking about Dex Screener. I don't like that website. It's fake metrics, and but it's the only kind of site where you can see PulseX and Pulse charts. So really can't complain. And if most people are just going to Google for the price chart, and the first link it will show is Dex Screener. So yeah, So why even bother with all that crap again? uh, it's part of NLP to make it sound more mysterious or intelligent. Don't buy into it.
It's an amazing looking chart in favor of pulse X. And I think the reason for that is because it has such a superior buy and burn mechanic and it can never inflate. There,
Dude, did he say Pulse X chart looks amazing? The blah blah. Dilululu. The Gen Z term is dilulu, delusion. Like, look at the chart. It's down 95%. Oh, which sane person would call it a good looking chart?
there is some inflation in pulse to stakers. I think they get like 10% a year on average. You'd have to do, there's websites that track it, like ultrasound.money or something. I don't exactly remember it. Maybe that's Ethereum's.
Yeah, buy and burn. Uh, I think it is Beacon chain for Ethereum. Beacon dot Beacon cha.in. I think that's the website we have to where you can see the how much Ethereum is burning. I think Etherscan does it itself, but for Pulse and Pulsation, there are a couple of other sites, Pulse Stats, Go Pulse, even like what's that Hex Scout app. It has a metric for uh, the total pulse and pulse X that has been burned. I don't they think they do it uh, like per block uh, or per hour, but really, who really cares about? Very few people are interested in that.
Supply tracker. Maybe Pulse Chain Stats has that. PulseChainStats.com. I haven't looked through a lot of these websites in a while. So long story short, I think Pulse Chain and Hex and Pulse X are amazing. And I think all they need is some marketing. And I think having a cool new project that doesn't have much competition as layer ones or dexes can work well. Because if what you're trying to do isn't working, you have to rotate. If people were interested in what you had, they would have it already. You have to rotate your pitch. You have to try different things. So if if you say this is to on ramp new users to this thing, and then people check the chart and they don't like the chart, they're not going to like the new thing. If you say the new thing is to help all chains, amplify all chains, transcend chains, you end up with users that don't care to check other charts because it doesn't matter as much because they're not, the reason the thing exists is on its own.
But people are going to still look at charts, and especially after they buy it, and it's we have the like, yeah, most of RH coin charts have not been very good on the long term. So again, he's kind of contradicting himself.
What else? Yeah, some thought went into this stuff, my guess. So I think the chart of a thing that has deca millions of sacrifice is likely a lighter, easier chart to go up than a thing that has a billion, just from a math perspective.
Again, that math doesn't actually matter because it's per prices will be per token. Yeah, you can get a better cap chart, but who really trades market cap charts? And yeah, it, we will never know for sure how many of the sacrificers are going to be selling, and majority are going to receive things or tokens at a discount. Current what you call amplifier bonus is around 2x. So basically, for half of the price what normal people would get, so they can get away with selling for lower prices. And yeah, I assume that will happen. And of course, the people who are running the pool, there is a sacrifice pool where you can pool your money with other people for to join the sacrifice set. They are getting basically 10 or 20% of the total sacrifice that on in via that address. So basically for free means they can be dumping for a long time before we can anybody can make a profit. So that's and like
What else? I got a bunch of questions from you guys. So that's just off the top of my head stuff. Paper, you see? You can print questions and you can answer them. The Richard Hout account on Twitter asked, "Hey guys, if I'm going to do a video, what do you want me to answer for questions?"
hey man, like you can get you have all the best equipment and setup, but you can't set up a teleprompter for questions. Get real. And it's not that these are live questions. Like, you could have just made a PDF. Like, go paperless, save nature.
And here you go. Here are those questions. You've been tracking the Genie Stack. What opportunities does its rulings open up? Um, it lets you create a stablecoin and compete with other stablecoins. So if, for instance, you've got extra overhead or extra counterparty risk or extra smart contract risk from having to bridge, you could find a counterparty that wants to launch directly on your chain, which should reduce counterparty risk. But it's not active yet. So the legislation passed, but the things that it's not, the legislation passed, but it has a timer on it where it's not active yet.
That's because there is still research going on, and basically banks are fighting as to who gets custody. It's a very uh, kind of what you call, I would say beyond my pay grade, but yeah, these are behemoth financial institutions that are kind of trying to get a chunk of this pie. And we already have so many stable coins. Really don't need more. It's just we want safety that the stable coins are holding the capital they are, or the coin, what you call, reserves to back up the coins they are issuing, or make sure that they are not issuing money out of thin air, which by the way the Fed does. So Genius Act, uh, getting people to launch a token or a stable coin on a Pulse chain. I don't think that will be happening anytime soon. But hey, all not all hope is lost. But uh, that's
So
kind of it.
people don't know that and they just pretend that it exists. It doesn't really exist yet. It's on its timer to start at some point. How does having the most liquidity on PulseX versus Uniswap provide value to traders and secure Pulse Chain's position in the market? Mm, well,
Simple answer is it doesn't, and we know how it is happening. Like Uniswap is one of the most liquid DEX that is, and it's not just on Ethereum. There are multiple layer twos as well. It has its own chain as well, and the order routing through that is very helpful. and Hex have been delisted from their front end, which does affect the price of Hex and Pulse negatively. Yeah, but let's
Be-
go.
Uniswap doesn't have a front end that runs on Pulse Chain, and they don't have. So basically, liquidity kind of becomes a first mover advantage. The bigger gets bigger, critical mass kind of snowball kind of thing, because you care about order execution. So when you go to place a new trade, you want the best deal for your money. The best deal for your money is going to be where it's thickest. And then when you execute that trade into the thickest book, it remains the thickest because you just traded into it. And so your fees inflate the LP position of the liquidity providers of that thing. And so because PulseX was the largest in the beginning on Pulse Chain, it's likely to continue to be the largest because unless someone puts in millions and millions and millions of dollars, we're unless someone puts in like deca millions of dollars at risk to create a larger LP pool on a different system other than PulseX's, it's just going to continue to have better order execution because it has thicker books. And then you have to choose. So if you tie your new coins to stables and they become popular and people buy them,
Ah, I wonder what if there was some person who could make he's I think misinterpreted the question, or maybe he's willingly diverting from the topic. Uniswap is the most liquid exchange that the viewer or questioner was asking about why PulseX is at a disadvantage of having lower liquidity than Uniswap. Maybe we should do something about it. And I know of one person who has a lot of not only PulseX, but a lot of other tokens who can narrow that gap, but he hasn't done anything. And by the way, it's like, yeah, but the thing is now, first of all, that liquidity thing only matters if you're doing large scale transactions, usually greater than four figures. Uh, Fine. For normal retail traders, uh, under $1,000, that liquidity doesn't really make that difference. Like there is the price hardly moves against you. So we do have sufficient liquidity, and for for larger transactions, you aren't going to be transacting on a single exchange. You are going to be using a aggregator. So splitting your order across many exchanges, that works. And we do have that on Pulse chain as well. And so this is kind of a moot point. What does matter is, yeah, when there is one main liquidity pool, yeah, there is going to be liquidity concentration, but it's better for trading. And I think not only Ethereum and Uniswap, there are multiple people who have addressed this. There is this problem of liquidity fracturing. So worse, the more different exchanges are there with smaller liquidity pools, uh, it's bad for trade execution, but it is good for price performance. So it is, if there is large uh, sell side liquidity, it becomes more difficult to push the price up. When there are smaller liquidity pools, yeah, it's easier for price performance. But I don't know. Like Richard is kind of diverting from the point.
it nukes the prices of everything else because you have to buy stable to get into that thing. So like when Trump Coin launched, and they chose to put instead of Solana's liquidity, they used stable liquidity. It nuked the price. Why? Because people wanted the new thing, and to buy the new thing, they had to sell whatever other crypto they have for stable. Just like someone launched another L2 a couple weeks ago, and guess what? You could only participate if you showed that you had tons of stable. So people nuked the normal crypto prices to get stupid stable. It, so if you want crypto to do well and you don't want to be scared that any one of your things becoming popular will nuke the price of everything else, you kind of need that reflexivity where everything goes up together. And then it amplifies it so that a move up in one thing moves up everything. But it's a double.
Doesn't always work. Again, I have to reiterate this. People, the price goes up when people buy that token and hold, or rather sell for higher. Uh, like buying, the only option being for buying token A, if buying only option to buy token A is via buying token B, yes, the price of both tokens will go up, uh, but it also means both token prices will go down simultaneously. We don't actually want that kind of liquidity locking. Uh, yeah, so and they will run the LP to dump. And yes, that is also ones with questionable fee structures. Yes, and that is also another thing. Like you are, that is the definition of a rug pull. Like, yeah, they can have a large liquidity pool, and as soon as the price goes up, they can just uh, uh, drain all the liquidity. Of- the people running the liquidity pool. Uh, so that problem doesn't go away if you lock tokens uh, with liquidities. And by the way, I had made this suggestion for PulseX. Nobody listened. We could have had PulseX as a fork of Uniswap V1, where the only way to form a liquidity pool was that with bonding it with uh, Pulse, or in case of Uniswap, it was Ethereum. So that way, people would have been forced to buy Pulse to make liquidity pools. But that is temporary, as like when people want to sell, they will sell, and the price that will make the price of both token go down. So I think it was a good decision in by the Solana Foundation in the long term, uh, but uh, it doesn't really matter.
Double-edged sword. Move down on one thing, moves down everything. And so you basically, I've never seen a coin, I've never seen an L1 chain do well launching a bunch of tokens that didn't incentivize people to end up through the liquidity pairings of getting the native token.
Uh, Again, it's a double-edged sword, and we can see this with the launch of pump tires. Yeah, people have bonded liquidity with Pulse, but all those rug pulls do bring the price of Pulse down as well. Rather, every time the price of Pulse goes up, the price of those meme coins also goes up, and people sell those meme coins for USD, bringing down the price of the meme coins as well as Pulse. So, is he not self-aware?
So, for instance, stablecoins used to run on another protocol. I think it was Counterparty Protocol. And then they had a chain that they used, and then the chain never made any money because people just paid a little bit of fees. A little bit of fees ain't going to get you nowhere. You need to be the thing that people hold. Store of value is a vastly superior game mechanic and value accrual mechanism than fees. Getting people to buy and hold your thing moves the chart more than fees.
Uh, yes, but the fees do help, and yeah, like it's like prices of oil. Like, yeah, if you are trading in oil futures and are you are long, then yeah, you want oil prices to go up. But if you are using or oil, then you want those prices to stay low. So again, not yeah, prices go up when the people don't sell. Eh, It's not really rocket science or anything new.
That's just how it is. You can go back and read the lore on all these concepts were first elucidated when X came out and went up 1,000,000% in a year and a half. Hope that answers your question. How do you hope to see WPLS used on Ethereum to come more embedded into the wider ecosystem? I'm not really a fan of counterparty risk or bridge risk. I, if you're on ramping new users, you'd rather on ramp them to Pulse Chain than to Ethereum. If you own more Pulse Chain than Ethereum, would
Uh, yeah, and that's why the initially on day one the only way to buy get people on Pulse chain was via bridging through Ethereum. Uh, so again, he's uh, omitting a lot of stuff, and yeah, like bridge risk is still a big issue on in the blockchain space, but people are willing to take that risk. Most like I think the major bugs that could have been found in bridge software has have been found, so people have mitigated most of them, and yeah, we like that's why layer twos as well exist. Uh, what else has he got to say?
be my guess because your price might go up and they might enjoy more potential for appreciation. Ethereum's price is now down after 5 years. That sucks a lot.
Ethereum's price is down after 5 years, but it is still uh, very much higher, at least from the at least from where when Hex launched. I remember it was around $100 when Hex launched. Now it is around near 4,000, 3,000 somewhere. Ah, 30x gain. I that's really not a good thing. And uh, uh, like Pulsion price performance, you see, I am very optimistic that Pulsion price will go up mainly because I hold Pulsion, but the price chart is definitely not to something to aspire to, man. Like, get
And is
real.
it because Ethereum tech is bad? No, Ethereum tech's great. Well, why? It's too heavy. Market cap's too high. People aren't launching ICOs on it.
Again, cap is too high is a very vague term. Like I call it I mostly consider it as, but like there isn't like the market of crypto in general is, I think, what was it last time? Like maximum it was 2 or 3 trillion. It is still pale in compared to other markets. So, and yeah, that's not a very good reason for saying um, price is down. Major reason why price on Ethereum is down is because Ethereum Foundation keeps selling it, and they even said that, oh, I think Vitalik said that, like, yeah, yeah, everybody was crying about expensive gas fees because, well, the gas fees were expensive because Ethereum was expensive. So I made Ethereum cheaper, so gas fees are cheaper. Like, d- don't fall for these obfuscations.
Okay, so why buy the token? Bitminer, publicly traded. Tom Lee shills it on television all the time. He bought up 3% of the Ethereum supply, 2.5, 3%. He's down. He he's not up. He's down. Saylor bought who knows how many billions. Not looking that great for him either. So you
Again, I know someone who bought the literal Ethereum top. Why is he pointing fingers at others? And I don't think Tom Lee is down on his Ethereum mainly because I think he has most of his Ethereum stake and is making some of the and why, like, bro, you're a doctor, go be a doctor. I can do whatever I want. This is just entertainment for me. This crypto shit is ruining your life. Uh, it is making you schizo. Yeah, maybe, but I'm happy with it. I will continue. Thanks for worrying about me. And I will continue. Where was this? What was I talking about? Yeah. Tom Lee is not in the negative, or Sailor, and Sailor did a live stream about how even if the Bitcoin price goes down, he'll probably be okay, and strategy and their shareholders will be okay. So I don't think Richard is being fair at this
would
point.
prefer something that's a little bit lighter, a little bit easier to get to go up. Uh, the S curve thing is real. Things are unpopular. I'm going to do this backwards for you guys. Is that it? I don't know. I'll do it backwards for you. I'm going to do it from my perspective. And I'm going to do it from your perspective. So this is a normal S curve. Early adoption, users, flat. All right. Well, I called the top in Bitcoin many years ago at 65K before it dropped to 17K. And now it's at like 88K. And a few days ago, I think it was 85. It sucks. Nobody wants a 2x or a 3x.
Uh, Currently, it is at around 92 or 93 K. Good. And it's not just about getting 10x or higher. It's also about protect. Like, you also have to take the other take into account the other side of the risk that price goes down. Bitcoin dropped from 60, what was it, 69K to 17K, but uh, that's around 70%, 80% drop, but it recovered. It didn't go down 95%. So, that's it.
They don't. They want a 10x, 100x, 1000x. They're not, most people aren't going to get generationally wealthy on a 2x. So I hope that answers your question. I think pulse chain's cooler than Ethereum. But if Ethereum goes to the moon, I ain't going to cry too bad either. What's the multiplier to sacrifice firstborn children? I don't think there's any points awarded for that. Why did you buy ETH at 3.7K bread?
Now he chose questions to answer. Why did he choose that again? God, is it Illuminati kind of thing like sacrificing firstborn children? Cringe, 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 man. Like, stop.
Ev. It would have been nicer to buy it at 1400, wouldn't it have? When it dipped there. Wah! Yeah, no one knows with perfection.
So that was his answer to why did he buy Ethereum? Why? Like he bought it with other people's money. He doesn't care whether the Ethereum price goes down. And yeah, like he's doing okay. I basically he doesn't have a reply for it, so he just
Where
ignores the
markets are going
question.
to go. How are we going to deal with banks?
Yeah, nobody knows which direction the market is going to go, including him. So why does he keep talking about, oh, this thing is going to be better for price charts?
Governments, etc., when proceeding with proof, surely they would not like the idea, especially in the EU. I think governments like honesty and proof. So if you have something that proves statements and proves honesty, that sounds like a win to me. I mean, the governments appear to hate crypto a little less than they used to. So that's nice. Needless to say, I think our ecosystem has proven very robust to government attack since we beat the government in the government's court, which almost no one else has ever done. So maybe the government's figured out that we're not to be trifled with. Who knows?
Yeah, he got away with the called sacrifice on a loophole. Good for him, and yeah, it's good for the crypto ecosystem as a whole. And yeah, the governments have changed and are better, more bullish toward crypto. And by the way, like ZKP2P has been running for almost a year now without any problems. So ProX is not going to face any uh, consequences for doing that. So he is aware of that, so that's how he.
Um, are you hoping to have? What are you hoping to have as key features of the minimum viable product? Go test ZK P2P.xyz. Terrible domain name. That working with a token and some token burning would be pretty awesome. By the way, the token can launch before any mechanisms to burn it exist, so you don't have to wait years for that. Launching a token, pretty easy, pretty well understood, pretty well audited and explored space. So I read on the website that the token could be issued shortly after the sacrifice phase, because it's PRC20, ERC20. The code is well understood. What if the wrong political party takes office again?
And just to say it again, if the token launches without the underlying platform, then to say it's the it's a meme coin is like the least. But yeah, it's like an 2017 again ICO. That's what most people did. Launch token without anything to back it. Hmm, are we going to do that again?
At some point in the future, do you think they will again use three-letter agencies to target you and your followers? I doubt it. Didn't work out well for him last time, but who knows or cares? That's what this stuff's built for, censorship resistance, right? What else? Theoretically, the protocol we're launch would have a banking partner already. Baking partner, it says. That's funny. You don't need one. It's peer-to-peer. So the protocol doesn't touch. It's just software that peers run. It's just code. You can run it or not. It doesn't have any life of its own. It's just like the calculator program in your operating system. You can run calculator or you can not run calculator. It's a tool you can use for your own ends. Doesn't have banks. You might have a bank. That's your problem. Is it possible to fork something existing so we can research it? Told you about that already. Some of these questions are hard to understand. The theory is OTC effectively. Please correct me if my understanding is incorrect. Does it rely on community providing a side to purchase? What would theoretically happen if the community didn't have enough sell pressure at one point? I don't even get this question. It's software that you run like a calculator. Just helps you do what you want to do with your life better. If you want to trade one thing for another thing, you can prove a statement that says that you did something, like paid.
I didn't understand the question again. Let me go back a bit.
At one point, I don't even get this question. Well, he's correct. Some of these questions are hard to understand. The theory is OTC effectively. Please correct me if my understanding is incorrect. Does it rely on community providing a side to purchase? What would theoretically happen if the community didn't have enough sell pressure at one point? I don't even get this question.
So yeah, I think what the question was about, if the software is going to be more like a OTC, and if if there aren't any sellers or buyers on the site, then how will it affect token price? Like all, I guess my answer would have been for it's like for all exchanges, if there is low volume, uh, like profits are lower, since the burn would be lower for those token, but it will still continue.
It's software that you run like a calculator. Just helps you do what you want to do with your life better. If you want to trade one thing for another thing, you can prove a statement that says that you did something, like paid. You can also automate the sending of coins to where you want to send them. Why does it burn when I pee? It says. You should go to the doctor, mate, or jerk off less. Why would your reason be to not let Prover X buy and burn be directed to, your guys' typing sucks, to PulseX? Why would you buy and burn the ProveX token instead of the PulseX token? The PulseX token is already rewarded by whatever liquidity. If ProveX has liquidity in PulseX, then PulseX buy and burn will be enriched by those trades. It doesn't also need to starve the native token of the new project because you hold that bag. The begging because you hold a bag thing is so gross. Hey, bro, why don't you just give new token to me, bro? Because I have this, Vitalik, why don't you just make it so that validators just give me money instead of themselves? Vitalik, why don't you just inflate supply and give to me, please? That's what your questions sound like. They suck. It's begging with more words.
Yeah, it's a good thing to ask.
Satoshi, please give me keys to early blocks, please. Thank you. In poorly written, uncapitalized English. Man, I shouldn't have printed so much of this. This sucks. Been a while since I read comments, and it sucks. Please educate to me or translate that tweet for me. Oh, educate to you. Thanks, man. Best wrist. I'm going to say wristwatch because you just wrote watch. Best watch to buy with a $50,000 budget. Don't buy watches. Dumb. As a person that has bought lots of watches, I can tell you there's better things to do with your money. The only people that like watches are other guys. So if you need other guys to like you more, you can buy watches.
So that is why he bought so many watches, I guess. He wants other guys to like him more. There are other rumors going around about it. Uh, and by the way, where are Richard's watches? Oh yeah, they got confiscated by the Finnish police. Yeah, we still have like uh, 7, 8 minutes of the video. Uh, Gone through it
When
almost.
you live stream, you should use a clearly obvious AI version of yourself for the first 5 to 10 minutes just to mess with everyone and play into the theories and conspiracies. I extremely do not like being gaslit and that I do not exist. And the things I say, I don't say. It really bothers me. If you are intent on telling me that I don't exist and that I'm actually AI, block yourself on my behalf.
Look, yeah, but it would have been nice if he had posted videos that are at least right now difficult to replicate with AI to prove his existence. It's not that difficult. But why? Is this video an AI? I think not, basically because the generation quality is kind like if it was AI, it would have been much more polished. Uh, and yeah, like, but things can't be proven or disproven.
Because I really dislike it. I do exist and I like the things that I say. Thank you. You're really smart. Did you go to college? Also, you have a lot of common sense. What city did you grow up in? Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And I went to school in Davie there. And I went to community college and it sucked and I quit. Thank you for the kind words. Everything you want to learn, it's on the internet now. The best way to learn stuff is to pull knowledge in as you need it, not to shove a lot of knowledge into yourself and hope you need it one day. You're just going to forget it all. It's all going to be useless. Pull in knowledge as you need it. Rebuild trust. Let's talk about rebuild trust. Go look at the charts that you guys made with your selling, okay? And then see where anything has been any different. It's the same crap, right? You need marketing. That's what you need. We miss you and love you lots. Thanks. Is the 4-year cycle come to an end? I sure hope so. I sure hope so. But even if it doesn't, you got so many conflicting things. Everyone got the government froze. That's not a word. Froze. The government froze, and then people didn't get paid, and then they had to sell what they had to survive. And a lot of people work for the government, and the prices of stuff people bought crashed, and the markets for stuff got frozen, and they just now today decided to turn off quantitative tightening. So I hear at the Fed of the United States. And so a lot of those things, and Mr. Bitminer, Tom Lee, hasn't gotten his 5% of Ethereum he wants to buy yet. He's only about halfway done. He's got 850 million sitting in cash. So I hear currently. So you've got a lot of things that are positive. And then you've got a lot of things that are negative. You've got like S-curve crap and some DAT sold instead of bought. These digital asset treasuries, DAT plays. And it's hard to call it, and you always have 40% dips. And so, Ethereum not too long ago was 1,500. Okay, well now it's 2,800. Well, I like 2,800 better than 1,500. So even if it's like flippity floppity, it's still making much higher lows. If you look at the chart, it's still up and to the right. So I think that so what either it keeps dumping and you get your 4 year crap cycle and then it's over after 364 days if it makes the fractal of the last two times it did it, or you don't get it this time because the only people that are in it are institutional money and they own all the coins and retail's not really here, which is why there's no search volume. In which case, maybe you don't do the 4 year dippity do whatnot. So it's hard to predict. I hope that people rotate out of Bitcoin into Ethereum and into Pulse Chain, ProveX, you name it, PulseX, Hex, Pulse. I'd like to see those things happen. But in the end, you do the best you can. You do what you know works. And then if it works, wonderful. And if it doesn't, you gave it your best. A lot of people say they've tried everything and they haven't tried anything, you know? So I'm happy to see things happening. Like the charity in the United States is sitting on, I don't know, soon to be 1 million tablets that they're going to figure out how to distribute. As soon as they figure out a way that works better than the way they tried previously, you know, they sent 100K out to random people. It didn't work. Well, that's expensive. You'd rather do it a way that works. So you rotate, you try things differently. Yeah, you just keep trying. And then at some point, you're what's left. And everyone else has fallen by the wayside and disappeared and aren't talked about and aren't doing live streams and aren't releasing new technology and aren't doing new and awesome things with no competitors. You know, we're doing it better. It just takes a little time. And by the way, you know, Bitcoin doesn't have an on-chain exchange and hasn't for 15 years. Pulse Chain does, right? So like the stuff we have is better than what Bitcoin has. If you keep doing the right thing, it should become more valuable than it in a world where the better stuff gets rewarded. And in a world where it doesn't get rewarded, you should still be a lot higher than you are now, in my opinion. I don't have a crystal ball. I can't, you know, predict prices. I don't make forward-looking statements very much, particularly on things that I've founded. Basically never. Like I don't make forward-looking statements just because the stuff's good enough on its own. You don't have to like make unqualified guesses that no one can know the answer to. I know that if you have better tech and you do marketing and there's more potential, that's about all you can ask for. And we do have better tech and we do have more potential. And where's Satoshi's video? He's not doing one. I'm doing one. So, man, it takes a lot of time to read your guys' questions. My God. All right. So, long story short, provex.com, provex.info, Hex, Pulse Chain, PulseX. You just more things keep integrating in the stack. You've got on-chain exchange. You've got time-locked value storage. You've got consensus network that's higher throughput, lower fees. Now you're going to have new technology nobody else has. Nobody else is tokenized. Nobody else has that much pricing power. Cool stuff, right? And then eventually you run out of things to build and you just have more than enough and you're just waiting for the tinder to hit. When I say tinder, I don't mean the website. I mean the kindling, the stuff that creates a fire. If you have all that infrastructure, if you have all the greatness, if you've had a bunch of weekends get shaken out, if it's the bottom, if everything's nuked, right? I think it amplifies potential. So I really think that this ecosystem just needs a little marketing. That's it. It's better than so many.
We just need more marketing. We have seen it. 100,000 tablets given away for free. Nobody cared. Yeah, we did get a couple of influencers on. They launched their own shit coins or about to. And, like, look, let me just finish this video. Last couple of minutes left. And
Other things. Really, really, really good stuff. Yeah. Well, I hope you've enjoyed the video. I'm sweating. My camera's sweating. And I hope to talk to you soon. I'm excited. I think that I feel good knowing that I am doing the best that I can do. And I think if you do the best that you can do for long enough, the world will yield to you. The world is bendable to your wishes if you try hard enough. It's one of the cool things about the time that we're in, you know? Anyway, see you guys. Talk to you soon.
Glad that is over. I guess I've talked about everything that needed to be talked about. Yes, he did. As I mentioned earlier, the NLP techniques you always have to hit a high note on the end. No, it's and yeah, we kind of try to generate that FOMO, but uh, he should have done this live stream at the beginning of the sacrifice phase. People would have been more appreciative, and like maybe would have sacrificed more. And yeah, the sacrifice phase isn't over, but the people getting the best deal is over. So again, he chose to do that. And he was complaining about all the questions. Like, yeah, he could have just read and selected a few of them beforehand, which I suppose he did, but my, he didn't address my question. Uh, you, but overall, yes, the market cycle again. I'm not. Uh, Sorry. Uh, I don't have a crystal ball either, but many of my predictions have become true. That's a different issue. But we are in a very bullish environment right now. Yes, the Fed is going to cut rates further on, uh, like they haven't officially declared it. Next meeting is on the 10th of December, so that is going to be an issue. Uh, we have Ethereum hard fork going on. I think it should be called a soft fork, but Fusaka hard fork uh, that is occurring. I mistimed the live stream. Like it was supposed to happen. I thought it was supposed to happen today. It's tomorrow, uh, according to my local time. So yeah, that's going live, which will be good for Ethereum and crypto. It will make a lot of things cheaper. Not really. As well as like yeah, Bitcoin. Yeah, governments are buying Bitcoin. More trade is going to be on Bitcoin. More ETFs are being what you call registered. Not just not just in that like the, more governments are making uh, taking interest in crypto. So, overall, it is bullish. But most importantly, next year is the mid-year election, and the government is trying to appease its voters by at least for some time showing some good time. So yeah, we are going to see kind of a bull run. Quarter one 2026. My prediction is we'll have the last leg of the bull run right before uh, OpenAI goes public, which is supposed to be Q3 or Q2, but we'll see that in a like we'll know for sure in but for right now, I do think. we will see a dump in the price of Ethereum right after the Fusaka fork. So don't buy the current green candles. I have set up my short position on Ethereum. I last time I got failed because the order didn't execute, but I hope it does this time. Um, that is about it. Thank you for the two people who watched the stream and in its entirety. And yeah, I have been rambling schizophrenic. That's just how I am online. I don't think you need to meet me in person to know me better. Uh, I hope so. But again, I do this for fun. Because I like it, and I thought I had a community of Mexicans that hope has been shattering. But hey, thank you guys for listening. I will be streaming mostly next stream will be on Monday. Uh, and I hope to see you guys there. Uh, that's about it. Do you have any final comments, closing statements? If not, I'm going to end this live stream now. Okay, thank you once again. Bye bye.